Taking a look at our A5 notes where we can make basic constructions using a straight edge and a compass. Really, it's just going to be looking at some examples. Don't really have any notes other than going through the process of actually doing these constructions. So when you do the constructions, you need a straight edge, which is right here. Doesn't have to have any markings on it, but usually you use a ruler. And then some kind of a compass. And here's three various types of compasses. One looks like this, where you could put something on here and put a pencil in one of these holes and draw a curve that way. You've got one where you can hold right here. You can readjust this, put a pencil in one of these things and turn it. That's one. But I'm going to use the old traditional sticky one with a little stick there and a little pencil on this end. We're going to use this one to make our curves. So these are the two tools that I'm going to use. I'm not going to use the markings on the ruler for any reason. So the first example is to construct a segment congruent to AB. It's really simple to do. All you have to do is start off by making an endpoint and draw a segment longer than AB. And so I'm going to do that. That's longer than AB. I'm going to mark this A prime because it's not really A. It's sort of a image of A, so I call it A prime. And then I'm going to take my compass and I'm carefully going to simply put one end on A and I'm going to adjust it so the pencil touches B. So I got to stretch it out a little bit here, and hopefully I've got a decent enough compass where this doesn't mark too well. I think we're pretty good shape there. That's about the right length, maybe a tad bit more. Be accurate if you can. That measurement is A to B. And then just come over here, put this mark on A prime, and draw a small curve through the segment. This would be where you would put B prime. And so there is segment A prime, B prime, which is congruent to AB. Our next example, we're going to draw an angle congruent. Now, what's nice about drawing angles is the rays don't have to be a certain length. So we're just going to put our first one, we're just going to make it a certain length and put an arrow at one end and a dot at the other. That's going to be basically this bottom part. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to simply take my compass. It doesn't really matter how far apart I put it. I just want to intersect. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to put the end on the vertex, and I'm going to simply sweep an arc through both parts of the angle like that. Hopefully you can see that. See what happens when I turn this light off. Nothing happens. Okay. So there's a curve there. Kind of hard to see it. I'm going to simply leave the compass, mark the exact same measurement, come over here. You know, there's another part of the angle up here. So just kind of imagine that it's already there. Draw an arc that goes through both the imaginary side as well as the side it's already drawn. Just do it carefully. You don't have to be real dark. So we know that that goes through both pieces, just like this one over here. We'll go through both pieces. It's a little easier if I cover that up to see it. The next thing I have to do is measure from this point across to where these intersect. So kind of like what I did up here, I'm going to measure from one intersection to the other, closing this down, and that's about the right length. Come over here, put our center here. Oh, I accidentally moved it, so I got to go back and remeasure. So that's about right. Okay, carefully not moving the distance. Put a little arc right there so it intersects. So this point is the important one. Now we're going to take our straight edge and draw a line, actually a ray, through those 2 points. And there is an angle that is identical to this one. Notice that the length is not important. All right, here's a more important construction that I want you to learn. It's how do you draw a perpendicular bisector to a segment. So what you want to do is take your compass. You want to set the compass a little bit larger than half the distance from A to B. So don't go past B, but go between the halfway mark. So that looks good right there. It's bigger than half of the distance of that segment. Then you want to basically sweep, and remember, there's going to be a line going straight through it. It's a perpendicular bisector. So we want to intersect both sides of that by putting your point on A and then sweep it through. I'm going to actually turn the paper. It's a little easier sometimes to draw an arc by turning the paper. So there is that arc. Do the same thing on the B side. And we sweep through, and I'm going to turn the paper to help me out. It's a little bit easier. And so what happens is you have intersected in two places, right down here and right up there, and you draw simply a line that goes through those two, and what you end up, and draw it carefully. What happens is you put arrows on that side. What we have done is we've bisected this segment, so that's a bisector. We can mark those as congruent. We can make that a right angle. That's the perpendicular bisector. Last thing we're going to do is we're going to construct an angle bisector of this particular angle. All right, to do that, we're going to set our compass, again, anywhere in this vicinity, and we're going to sweep a curve through both parts of this. So we put it on A, and we sweep an angle through both parts. That's it there. Okay, now it doesn't matter where we set this. We can leave it set the way it is. I'm going to, actually. And we're going to put our center on this point. And remember, there's a ray that goes halfway through, so that, imagine where that is. We want to go out here, and we want to put an arc that would intersect that ray. And then we're going to do the same thing up at the top here. We're going to put our center here. Don't change the size of your compass. And we're going to do another arc right there. You'll notice the arc intersects right there. So there's a point there where they intersect right there. Take your compass, or take your straight edge rather, and we're going to line it up from the vertex through that point, and that is going to be the ray that bisects this angle into two parts. So we have a congruent angle here with a congruent angle there. And that's the angle bisector, and all of the other ones as well. So these are your notes, your examples for section A5.